Opening to the public in 1994, the area now known as Forbidden Valley was formerly called Thunder Valley. That was, of course, until the birth of Nemesis. When Nemesis opened in 1994, it was joined in Forbidden Valley by three other coasters: Beastie, the Beast and Thunderlooper. The new Forbidden Valley stayed the same until the start of the 1997 season, where guests would discover that Beastie had been relocated to Adventureland, and on the area now occupied by the Octonauts coaster. Alton Towers had also said goodbye to their Schwarzkopf looping coaster called Thunderlooper over the closed season. The famous Forbidden Valley pit was now occupied by the Blade, a rethemed pirate ship that had been relocated from Fantasy World to make space for the construction of Oblivion. The biggest change to the area in 1997, however, was the introduction of Ripsaw, the park's Huss Top Spin ride. Nemesis finally had well-themed flat rides supporting it in the area. At the end of the 1997 season, the Beast, the park's Schwarzkopf Jetstar coaster, also left the area, making way for the construction of Air. Hello and welcome to the second Coaster Giant Reimagines videos, a series of videos where I take theme park rides and areas and tell you what I would do to improve them. So I'm going to be using Google Maps and silly little doodles that I do to help visualise exactly what's going on in my head. And in this video we're going to be looking at how we improve Forbidden Valley. I'm going to be keeping my ideas as realistic as possible, so whilst we're talking about Alton Towers, I'm not going to be whacking in a 200-foot hypercoaster. So over the next few videos I'll be piecing together all of my ideas of how to improve the general theming in Forbidden Valley, what rides I'd add to support Nemesis, and how I'd sort out that issue with Galactica just not fitting in with the Forbidden Valley theme. In the last video I discussed how I would re-theme Nemesis, and the theming elements that I used in that I want to flow through the whole area, so definitely worth going back and checking that video out. Anyway, let's get into what I would do to Forbidden Valley. So let me set the scene. Forbidden Valley needs to be exactly that. This was once a beautiful tropical land. That was until the aliens attacked in 1993. Ever since then, Forbidden Valley has been a restricted area controlled by the Phalanx. They imprisoned Nemesis and continue to run all sorts of tests on it. The whole site is at constant risk of the aliens returning, not only for Nemesis, but for other items that they might have left behind. During the retrack work of Nemesis, Alton Towers have added a load of hardcore to the floor just before the first drop. This is for machinery so that like cranes and stuff can get in to build the new ride. But it got me thinking this area would be a really good place for a little flat ride, right on top of that cliff, looking down into the pit. And I'm thinking that the Phalanx need a watch out point. So here's my idea for the first new ride that I would add to Forbidden Valley. So first up, I'm going to add a little drop tower. Now it's not going to be huge, we've got to work within the constraints of the height of the tree canopy and we can't go above that, but we could dig down a little bit, and because you're already high up and looking down into the pit, you're still going to feel pretty high. So I'm thinking something similar to Venom at Westmoreland Safari Park or Magma at Polton's Park, but I would have it so that the riders are standing, and when you're at the top it could tilt forward a little bit like Apocalypse used to do, but all on a round ride vehicle, so you get plenty of people on there, so the throughputs aren't going to be too bad. It'll be quite a short ride, quite a short cycle, so I don't see that being an issue. I think it would look great on that cliff. I think it could be themed really well. It could have a watchtower on top. There could even be some dummies dressed as the Phalanx in the red overalls, like looking out over the area. They could have guns. I think it'd be a really good addition for a backdrop as well, of just looking at Nemesis and seeing the watchtower in the back, and it's going to help bring the whole Phalanx controlled area theming together. In terms of access to the ride, in the last video we rerouted the Nemesis queue line slightly, which means that if we use a bit of the access road that's up the side of Nemesis, you can see with the green line on this little diagram, we can use the old Nemesis queue line for the entrance to the ride, and then there's plenty of space for an exit as well. Can you imagine how cool that would be? You're at the top of the drop tower, you're stood up, it starts to tilt forward, you're looking down into the Nemesis pit. I think that would be a really good addition. The second new ride I'm going to add is going to replace an old one. It's time for that forceless pirate ship that's the oldest ride in the park. It's time for it to go. It's served its purpose. And it won't be any surprise to people. If you watch my vlogs, I've mentioned this before, I would whack an Intamin gyro swing in that space. One with the nice lap bars rather than the restricted shoulder restraints. And I definitely wouldn't pick the same manufacturer as the Cyclonator at Paultons Park because that just wasn't comfortable. I want a big gyro swing with loads of airtime. So I've done some really scientific measuring using Google Maps, looking at Drayton Manor and Maelstrom versus the Bounty. And the supports aren't actually that much wider. So I think you might have to dig the pit a little bit wider, which is fine, there's loads of space off to the side of it. But we could definitely get a gyro swing into that space. It will be set quite low into the ground, which means we shouldn't have a problem with going above the tree height. So this year, Alton Towers have actually opened up the old Ripsaw queue entrance, and that's now how you get onto the Blade. So for this new ride, we could just utilise that whole queue area. It's far better having the entrance there as well. The amount of people I've seen trying to get through the exit to get on Blade, it's quite confusing having the entrance and the exit in completely different places. So on the same side of the path is a perfect shout. This is an anti-UFO device. Its purpose is to intercept and crush any alien spaceships attacking the area. The bottom of the pit's going to feel quite industrial. This has just been built by the Phalanx, so lots of concrete, but I'm going to keep in some of the green waterfalls as well. It's really important that we keep that green waterfall and water thing going. This is all about how the aliens attacked and the water supply has become contaminated and is now toxic. The ride structure itself, I imagine that would be pretty much all painted black apart from a few red bands around the supports and some Phalanx logos, and obviously with a massive sign on the top as well. I'm calling this the Defender because it's there to defend the area. So I'll add some extra theming as well, so on the gondola we'll have some guns or some lasers, and even right on top of the structure we could have again some dummies dressed as Phalanx with guns and stuff, just again bringing that whole theme for the whole area together. I'd also add some red and green LEDs on the bottom of the seats, maybe on the top of the gondola as well. Imagine how cool that would look, especially like when it's dark, when the park's open for Scarefest, and that's swinging around, you get the light trails and everything, it looked pretty spectacular. I'd also add a concrete retaining wall in this space in the red box on the map. That would also have spikes coming out of it. So that gives the illusion that the gondola can swing up, intercept the aliens and pull them back down into all of these spikes. At the same time as creating amazing near-miss elements for the riders. So I think the fact that this is set into the pit with these near-miss elements, you've got all the vegetation around you, it's going to feel really intense swinging through all of that before getting up into the air, getting all them pops of airtime, and then swinging straight back down through it. It's going to be a really good intense ride that I would love to get on. As well as all that theming, I'd add some audio as well. I think the start of the ride you could have some audio in the area, some alarms going off, signifying that there's a risk of an alien attack, and that's why the machine is swinging into action. The other purpose of that retaining wall is so that I could fill the rest of the pit in. It's quite a big area that's really not utilised even by the Blade. So filling in this top area of space that I've highlighted in the map here, I'm thinking this could be a really good eating area, a mixture of indoor and outdoor picnic benches, all centred around a big rock with loads of green water spilling out of it, again bringing that contaminated water in. This should feel like a base camp for the Phalanx, so this is where they go to eat and chill out and all get together. It's right outside the current food places, so I think it's a perfect location, and it will give us a bit of a centre place for the whole area. So you can get on great roller coasters, great rides, and you've got a bit of a hub where you can all get together, sit and eat, which is something that, apart from Roller Coaster Restaurant, the area is kind of lacking at the minute. In terms of look and feel of all the buildings in the area, so the huts we're going to create for this eating area, the food outlets themselves, and all the ride operation booths, I would theme them all to look similar to how Subterra looks. So all kind of corrugated metal, Phalanx signs on them, all in keeping, so it all looks like it's literally been built by the Phalanx, all at the same time, back in 1994, when the area was attacked. Whilst we're talking about food, I'd also add some themed food. In fact, I would loosely theme all of the food, even if it's just chips, to the area. And as with all the areas, I think everywhere should have at least one standout item of food and drink. I'd theme it to Nemesis. It's going to be that one thing that everybody coming to the park has got to try at least once. In the next Reimagines video, not only will I be adding 2 new attractions, I'll also be discussing how I would bring Galactica to work with the rest of the area. Let me know what you think to my ideas so far. Do you like the 2 flat rides? Do you like the new eating area and how I'm going to theme the area? Let me know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like. And if you've really enjoyed it and want to see more, then subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on, and you'll know exactly when the next video is out and you're not going to miss it. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.